welcome to another edition of Toys from the Attic. For today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at another set of Transformers Titans Returns characters, Nightbeat and Loudmouth. Now, even though the box says Titans Returns, they're always going to be Headmasters or Target Masters to me. That's what I was first introduced to back in the 80s and part of Generation 1. So yeah, I might be using the term Headmaster, Titans Returns interchangeably. I will say I'm going to start off with Nightbeat right here, and I have some issues with this particular guy. I've seen some other reviews where people kind of question the fact that he's a drilling, excavating machine that turns into a jet. That doesn't really bother me all that much. Most of what bothers me is where the actual little Titan Headmaster goes, and it plugs in right here, and his legs actually form what you're supposed to pretend are extra little guns to shoot at people. Yeah, that just seems like it's a real super stretch for the imagination on this one, because it's just all blocky right here. Maybe if they added some little more gun detailing right here, little indentations or something that stuck out that made it seem like it's a barrel of a gun, that would make a little bit more sense. But yeah, I wish this was actually hit a little bit more. These guys are supposed to have vehicles that they ride and vehicles that they actually drive, and I would have preferred that actually this vehicle be the one that he actually drives and the jet mode be the one that he actually hides in. One could argue that maybe the jet or the cockpit of the jet right here is actually where you just would pilot the drill tank. But yeah, that's the only other thing. That's the one downside I have with this guy, to be honest. The color scheme, though, I actually kind of like. The turquoise blue, the silver, and the yellow really help make this guy pop. Now, these guys are triple changers, so they do have a gun mode or some sort of weapon mode, which you just flip the handle down like this, and there he's in his gun mode or drill mode. I guess it's some sort of melee weapon that any other bigger robot could just bore into another person with. Some people might say that's stupid, but thinking back, there were a lot of guys that were like that with Transformers Armada and had a lot of little mini-cons that were, one mini-con in particular actually formed a giant drill that you could put on the forearm of another, I think it was Cyclonus's, was one of Cyclonus's little mini-cons, so I'm kind of already used to that whole idea. Now, to transform this guy into his jet mode, you're going to take the Titans Return guy and just pop him out right here. This is another little thing I don't like too much, is you really kind of have to force that in and out, and I'm wondering if it's going to put extra strain on this guy's neck right here. Some of the directions don't also tell you is some of these guys, you got to flip their heads all the way around to actually get them to pop in there a little bit easier. If I try it this way, I really have to force the head in there, but if I move it back like this, it comes flush with the top of that just a little bit more and gives me just a little bit more wiggle room to get that head in there. I also like the color scheme right here of his head. This little bit of yellow really helps that tiny head pop out. And as I've said before, these guys have just a little bit of articulation. The arms are in ball joints, can move around. The hips move forward and back, and knees can bend at double joint just so you can transform them into their head mode. And here you see Nightbeat's head. Some people have said it looks like he's in pain, or I kind of see it as he's kind of yelling at someone to like, hey, slow down, stop. So I kind of that expression doesn't really bother me. It's a nice change of pace to that stern look or just a plate over the mouth thing. It gives him, in my opinion, gives him a little bit more personality. Now, anyways, to get this into his jet mode, just gonna flip this part back, rotate the jet mode out like so, pop these parts out to reveal the wings with little extra missiles right here, so he can attack people or fly by and attack people. And you just move his legs back like this. Fit him onto those slots right there and just move him forward, and he's kind of riding the jet like he's ready to fly around and shoot Decepticons or any enemies that might be attacking Fortress Maximus. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. Like I've said before, I would have preferred this to actually be the mode that he kind of just hides in, to be one solid jet mode, and be the drill mode be the one that he actually rides. It just would make a little bit more sense. Seems like he would fall off. He's flying at super jet speeds like this. But what are you going to do? That's what they decided to go with. I'm wondering if they're actually going to remold this guy into other figures. It seems like that's something that they could do really easily, and it'd be kind of neat to see who they're actually going to choose to use this mold with. The design might make a little bit more sense then. Now, Loudmouth, I also have kind of the same problems with too, especially in his vehicle hover gun tank mode. You could see some little exhaust jets right back here, and extra little missiles right here, but I guess these exhaust jets are what's supposed to make him as a hover tank. I don't know. And here are the two double barrels of his tank mode, and I guess his legs are supposed to form two extra barrels as well. It's the same. I have the same problem here as I did with this guy. It's just, it doesn't really, it's kind of a stretch of the imagination, although it's not as bad as Nightbeat right here. Now, transform him into his gun mode. You just take this little tab right here, fold it all the way around, move these parts up like so, and there you go. He has his gun mode right there. It makes me also wonder if, because these guys are actually attached when they're in gun mode, if they're supposed to also be target masters as well. If so, then they're not really promoting that on the back of the box as much. Or I guess maybe these guys are supposed to be the target masters, and the ones that come with the giant robots are just supposed to be headmasters, and then some of the other guys are supposed to be power masters. I don't know. Now, transform it into his vehicle. You just, well, as you saw, you just move these flaps up like so, move the little gun turret back around like here, move the handle down like this, and you have a nice little car that he can drive around in. Oh, I should probably talk about his head or headmaster mode, and it's a kind of neat face. It's the little blue right there on the sides, and that red of his visor really help certain details pop, but the gray and silver, especially, just some things just kind of get lost in the mouth. It's nothing that really is overly inspiring in my opinion. Move that around, and I will say that I do like the little bit of red right there for his visor. It kind of helps pop or draw your eye right to his head just a little bit. Now, this guy is also kind of hard to get into his vehicle because it doesn't have a seat that he actually sits into. You have to somehow get his little holes right here on those little pegs, and it can be a little bit tricky to get him to fit snugly. And once he's kind of in there, I like to kind of leave him how he is, but there we go, we got that in there, and just slide him kind of all the way back to where he's just sitting there. And the nice thing is this little mode actually works. It kind of looks like a nice little car that he'd just be hovering around with or just patrolling around the area. So I really dig this little vehicle mode a lot more than the tank mode. This is probably going to be the preferred way I actually have him, and because he's actually, it just looks like he's a little human robot or a little robot just cruising around his vehicle. It's, yeah, I just really dig it, as opposed to Nightbeat's vehicle right here that he could probably fly off of if he goes too fast. There's not really much else to say about these guys. Some people have reviewed them and said that they're just replacement heads for some of the bigger robots that you're going to get later on down the line. I think that they're just supposed to be cheaper or slightly less expensive than the big guys, so these might fly off the shelves a little bit faster. It's something easier that the parents can pick up multitudes of, and it feels like the kids have a lot more. Also, it's kind of neat to see all these little guys just around or covering Fortress Maximus like they're having a big old battle or just patrolling the area to help protect them. And then just building these guys up as an army, I think, is what's going to be their cool gimmick. Like I said before, or like I've said during this review, it's going to be interesting to see how some of these guys are repainted and remolded to expand the little army of these little Titans Returns Headmaster figures. So yeah, I'm probably going to be getting all those guys too eventually when they come out. Anyways, this has been a look at Transformers, Titans Returns, Nightbeat, and Loudmouth. Once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen today, please help me out by sharing, liking, or even subscribing. Comments and advice are also appreciated. Who knows, some you suggest may appear on the show in the future.